The voicemail came at 2:17 a.m. on a Tuesday in March. I didn't hear my phone ring. I was 69 years old, and I'd learned to sleep through anything after 3 years of waiting for a call that never came. When I woke up at 6:30 a.m. and saw the notification, my heart stopped. One voicemail. From Daniel. My son. The son who hadn't spoken to me since November 2021. The son whose wife had convinced him I was toxic, controlling, dangerous to his mental health. I sat on the edge of my bed for 10 minutes before I pressed play. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Mom. His voice cracked on that one word. Mom, I'm so sorry. I found them. All of them. The letters you sent that Rebecca said never arrived, the birthday cards, the Christmas gifts. She'd been hiding them in her office. 3 years of them. And the emails. Mom, she had a fake account. She was sending herself emails from your address, saying horrible things, things you never said, things I believed you said. He was crying. My 1-year-old son was crying into my voicemail at 2 a.m. She told me you said I was making the biggest mistake of my life marrying her. You never said that. She told me you called her white trash. You never said that either. I found the folder, Mom. She kept everything, like evidence. Like she was building a case against you. And I believed her. For 3 years, I believed her. There was a long pause. I could hear him breathing. She was right about one thing, though. She told me I'd regret cutting you off, that you'd probably die hating me. And she was right. I do regret it. Every single day. I need to know if it's too late. If you can ever forgive me. I'll understand if you can't. I'll understand if you don't even want to call me back. But I had to tell you. I had to tell you I know now. I know the truth. And I'm so sorry. The voicemail ended. I played it 17 more times that morning, listening to every word, every crack in his voice, every breath between sentences. My name is Eleanor. I'm 69 years old. I was a librarian for 38 years before I retired. I raised my son Daniel alone after my husband died in a car accident when Daniel was 7. And this is the story of how I lost my son for 3 years, got him back through the cruelest twist of fate, and had to decide if love could survive that kind of betrayal. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Because this story isn't really about a voicemail. It's about what happened before, and what I chose to do after. Daniel was born on August 3rd, 1983. 6 pounds, 11 ounces, full head of dark hair. He came into the world screaming, and for the first 3 months of his life, he barely stopped. Colic, the pediatrician said. It would pass. It did pass. And what emerged was the sweetest, most curious child I'd ever known. He'd spend hours examining leaves, asking why they changed colors. He'd line up his toy cars by size, then by color, then by how fast he imagined they could go. He read at 4 years old. By 7, he was reading chapter books meant for 5th graders. Then his father died, March 19th, 1990. Robert was driving home from work. Pickup truck ran a red light, killed him instantly. Daniel was in 2nd grade. I was 34 years old, working part-time at the county library while Robert's insurance job covered our bills. Suddenly, I was a widow with a mortgage, a child, and a part-time job that paid $11.50 an hour. I made choices. I took the full-time librarian position, which meant better pay but longer hours. I said no to the assistant director role 3 years later because it would have meant traveling to regional conferences, missing Daniel's soccer games, his school plays, his life. I said no to dating, to girls' trips, to anything that took me away from the one person I had left. I don't regret those choices. I want that clear before I tell you what happened. I don't regret raising my son. I just regret that he doesn't remember it the same way I do. Daniel was a good kid. Not perfect what child is, but good. Kind to animals, respectful to teachers. He had friends, but he was also content being alone. Like me, I suppose. We'd spend Saturday mornings at the library where I worked. He'd read in the children's section while I processed returns. Then we'd get ice cream and walk home, talking about his books, my books, everything and nothing. When he was 16, he asked me why I never dated. We were making dinner. Spaghetti, his favorite. I remember the tomato sauce was bubbling on the stove. I had the love of my life. I told him, "Your dad. Not everyone gets a second chance at that kind of love. And besides, I have you." He hugged me, told me I was the best mom in the world. I held on to that. For years, I held on to that. Daniel got into the University of Washington. Good school. Far from our home in Oregon, but not too far. I helped him move into his dorm in September 2001. I cried the whole drive home. Empty nest, they call it. It felt like empty everything. But we stayed close. He called every Sunday, came home for holidays. After graduation, he got a job in Seattle. Software development, made good money. $65,000 starting salary. I was so proud I cried again. He visited every few months. I'd drive up to see him sometimes. We'd have dinner, walk around Pike Place Market, talk about his work, his life, his future. In 2017, he mentioned a woman, Rebecca. They'd met at work. She was a project manager. Smart, he said. Ambitious, funny. I was happy for him. He'd dated before, but nothing serious. At 34, I'd started to worry he might end up alone. When can I meet her? I asked. Soon, he said. She's really busy with work right now. Big project deadline. But soon, definitely. Soon became eventually. Eventually became next time. Next time never came. They dated for 2 years. In that entire time, I never met Rebecca. I saw photos on Facebook. Pretty woman, blonde hair, sharp features, confident smile. In every photo, she was touching Daniel, her hand on his arm, her head on his shoulder, claiming him, I thought, then felt guilty for thinking it. In May 2019, Daniel called to tell me they were engaged. That's wonderful, honey. Congratulations. Thanks, Mom. We're both really happy. I can't wait to meet her. Maybe we could all have dinner to celebrate. I could drive up next weekend. Pause. Long enough to feel uncomfortable. Rebecca's not really ready for that yet. She's kind of private about family stuff. Her parents were pretty toxic, so she's got some walls up. I don't want to push her. Of course. I understand. Whenever she's ready. Thanks for understanding, Mom. You're the best. The wedding was set for November 2021. 18 months of planning. I assumed I'd meet Rebecca during that time. At a dress fitting. At a venue tour. At something. I didn't. Every time I suggested meeting, there was a reason. Rebecca was overwhelmed with work. Rebecca's anxiety was bad. Rebecca needed space from family stuff because her own family drama was triggering. I just want to be part of this, Daniel. I'm not trying to take over. I just want to meet my future daughter-in-law. I know, Mom, and you will. After the wedding, everything will settle down, and we'll do a nice dinner. Just the 3 of us. I promise. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was my son, my honest, kind, thoughtful son. He'd never lied to me before. The wedding invitation arrived in September 2021, formal cardstock, elegant calligraphy, Eleanor Fletcher printed at the top. The ceremony was in Seattle, November 13th. Saturday afternoon. I booked my hotel in October. Called Daniel to confirm I'd be there. He sounded strange. Distracted. Yeah, Mom, of course. Can't wait for you to finally meet Rebecca. Me too. Should I plan to come the day before? Are there any pre-wedding events? No. Just the ceremony and reception. We're keeping it simple. Simple. That should have been my first warning. I drove to Seattle on Friday, November 12th, checked into my hotel, called Daniel that evening. No answer. I texted, I'm here. So excited for tomorrow. Let me know if you need anything. He texted back 3 hours later, great. See you tomorrow. The ceremony was at 3 p.m. I got to the venue at 2:30 p.m., a beautiful old mansion overlooking Lake Washington. Expensive. I'd offered to help with costs. Daniel had said they had it covered. Rebecca's parents were contributing, and they were doing some DIY to save money. Looking at that mansion, I realized DIY wasn't part of their budget strategy. I checked in at the guest table. The woman looked at my name, looked at a list, frowned. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't see you on the seating chart. I'm the groom's mother. Eleanor Fletcher." Her face changed. Oh, let me check with the coordinator." She hurried away. Came back 5 minutes later with an older man in a suit. "Mrs. Fletcher? I'm Jonathan, the venue coordinator. There seems to be a small oversight with the seating arrangements. Would you mind waiting in the foyer for just a moment while we sort this out? Is Daniel here? Can I speak with him? The groom is getting ready. But I'll let him know you're here." I waited in that foyer for 25 minutes. Other guests walked past me. Family and friends I didn't know. No one from Daniel's childhood. No one from Oregon. All Seattle people. All Rebecca's people, I realized. At 2:55 p.m., a young woman in a bridesmaid dress approached me. "Mrs. Fletcher? Hi. I'm Jen, Rebecca's sister. There's been a situation. Rebecca is having a pretty severe anxiety attack. She's asking that we keep the ceremony to just immediate family and the wedding party. Daniel wanted me to apologize. He's really sorry, but he's asking if you could skip the ceremony and just come to the reception instead." The words didn't make sense at first. Skip the ceremony. My son's wedding ceremony. I don't understand. I'm his mother. I'm immediate family. Jen looked uncomfortable. I know. But Rebecca's having a panic attack, and the ceremony is about to start, and Daniel's trying to keep her calm, and he really needs you to understand. I drove 4 hours to be here. I know. And he's really grateful. The reception starts at 6 p.m. We'll make sure you have a good seat there. But right now, he needs to focus on his bride. I left. I got in my car, and I drove back to my hotel. I sat in the parking lot and I cried. Not loud crying. Silent crying. The kind where your chest hurts and your throat closes and no sound comes out. At 5:45 p.m., I got a text from Daniel. "Mom, I'm so sorry about earlier. Rebecca's anxiety is really bad, but please come to the reception. I want you there. I love you." I went. Of course I went, because he was my son, and I loved him. And I wanted to believe everything would be okay. It wasn't okay. The reception was at the same mansion. Different room, bigger, more elaborate. I walked in at 6:15 p.m., deliberately late enough that I wouldn't have to make small talk before dinner. There was no seating chart at my table. Because there was no table for me, at least not one near the front. I was seated at table 14, in the back, next to the kitchen doors, with people I'd never met. People who, I learned, were Rebecca's co-workers from a previous job. People who barely knew the bride, let alone the groom. Daniel and Rebecca sat at a sweetheart table at the front of the room. I could barely see them through the crowd. Dinner was served. I pushed food around my plate, watched my son laugh at something his new wife said, watched her feed him a bite of cake during dessert. Watched them dance their first dance to a song I'd never heard. At 8:30 p.m., Daniel came to my table. Finally, "Mom, I'm so glad you're here." He hugged me. He smelled like champagne and cologne I didn't recognize. "I'm sorry about the ceremony thing," Rebecca was really struggling. "It's okay," I lied. "Congratulations, sweetheart. I'm happy for you. Thanks." "Hey, come meet Rebecca real quick before we have to cut the cake." He led me through the crowd. Rebecca was talking to an older couple. Her parents, I assumed. They had her features. Her confidence. "Rebecca, this is my mom, Eleanor." She turned, smiled, extended her hand for a handshake. Not a hug, a handshake. "Eleanor, so nice to finally meet you. Daniel's told me so much about you." Her voice was pleasant. Professional. Like I was a distant acquaintance she was being polite to. "It's wonderful to meet you too. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance before now." "Well, you know how crazy life gets." She touched Daniel's arm. Possessive. "We're just so busy between work and wedding planning and everything." "Of course." I hope now that the wedding is over, we can spend some time getting to know each other. Something flickered in her eyes, too quick to identify. That would be lovely. Daniel, sweetie, your cousin is trying to get your attention for a photo. And just like that, he was gone, led away by his new wife. I left at 9 p.m. Didn't say goodbye. Drove back to Oregon that night instead of waiting until morning. 4 hours in the dark, crying so hard I had to pull over twice because I couldn't see the road. I called Daniel the next day. Sunday afternoon. No answer. I texted, "Thank you for including me yesterday. I know things were complicated. I love you." "Congratulations again," he responded Tuesday. "Thanks, Mom. Sorry things were chaotic. We'll call soon." He didn't call soon. Thanksgiving was 2 weeks away. I texted asking if they'd like to come to Oregon, or if I could come to Seattle. "We're doing Thanksgiving with Rebecca's family. Sorry, Mom. Next year for sure." Christmas. Same thing. Rebecca's family has this big Christmas Eve tradition. "We'll do something with you in January, okay?" January came. I texted asking about getting together. No response. For 5 days. Then, "Things are really busy with work. We'll reach out when we have a free weekend." February 2022. I called on Daniel's birthday. It rang once and went to voicemail. I left a message, sang happy birthday, told him I loved him, sent a card with a $100 gift card to his favorite coffee shop. The card came back 3 weeks later. Return to sender. Wrong address. I texted Daniel, "Your birthday card came back. Did you move?" "Yeah, we bought a house in January." "Sorry, forgot to give you the new address. Can you send it to me?" "Sure." He didn't send it. I asked again a week later. He sent me an address. I sent another birthday card. This one didn't come back, but I also didn't hear anything about whether he received it. In March, I tried calling, straight to voicemail. Every time. For a week. Finally, a text from Daniel. "Mom, I need some space. Rebecca and I are working through some stuff, and your constant calling isn't helping. I'll reach out when I'm ready." My constant calling. I'd called 4 times in a week after months of near silence. I responded, "I'm sorry if I've been overwhelming. I just miss you. I'm here whenever you want to talk. I love you." No response. April, May, June. Silence. On July 1st, I sent an email. Subject line, "I miss you. Dear Daniel, I don't know what I did wrong. I've replayed every conversation, every interaction, and I can't figure out where things went bad between us. If I hurt you somehow, please tell me. Let me apologize. Let me make it right. I'm not asking to be the center of your life. I know you're married now. I know Rebecca is your priority. I just want to be part of your life, even a small part, a phone call once a month, a visit once a year, something. Please talk to me. Love, Mom." 2 weeks later, he responded, "Mom, I've been talking to a therapist about our relationship. She's helped me see some patterns I didn't recognize before. The constant guilt trips, the manipulation, the way you always made me feel responsible for your happiness. I can't do this anymore. I need to focus on my marriage and my mental health. Rebecca has been really supportive through this process. She's helped me see that it's okay to set boundaries with family, even with you. I need you to stop contacting me. I'll reach out if and when I'm ready to reconnect. But I need space to heal from some childhood stuff I'm working through in therapy. I'm sorry if this hurts, but I have to do what's best for me. Daniel." I read that email 50 times. Constant guilt trips, manipulation, childhood stuff. I called my sister Patricia. She lives in California. We talk every Sunday. He says I manipulated him, that I made him responsible for my happiness. Patricia, did I do that? She was quiet for a moment. "Margaret, I watched you raise that boy. You went to every soccer game, every parent-teacher conference. You helped him with homework until midnight. You worked overtime to pay for his school trips. You lived in that tiny apartment for years because you were saving for his college fund. What manipulation is he talking about?" "I don't know. Maybe I did something I don't remember. Maybe I was overbearing. Or maybe his wife has convinced him you were. Margaret, You never even met her until the wedding. How could she know anything about your relationship with Daniel? She knows what he told her. And what if he told her what she wanted to hear? I didn't want to believe that, but I also couldn't ignore the timing. Daniel and I had been close his entire life, until Rebecca. I stopped contacting him. Completely. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Every time I saw something that reminded me of him, I'd reach for my phone, then stop myself. He wanted space. I'd give him space. August, September, October. My birthday came and went. November 13th, 2022. Their first anniversary. I didn't send a card, didn't text, just sat at home and cried. Christmas 2022. I spent it with Patricia in California. She set an extra place at dinner. For Daniel. A symbolic gesture. It made me cry into my mashed potatoes. Maybe he'll come around, Patricia said. Maybe this is just a phase. Or maybe this is permanent, I said. Maybe I really did damage him somehow, and he's protecting himself. You didn't damage him. But his wife might have. January 2023, I joined a support group, online, for estranged parents. I'd found it through Google late one night, when I couldn't sleep. Parents whose adult children cut them off. I read the stories, hundreds of them, thousands. Mothers and fathers whose children had disappeared. Some had clear reasons, abuse, addiction, real harm. But many, like me, had no idea what they'd done wrong. They'd just been labeled toxic by daughters-in-law or sons-in-law who wanted their partners all to themselves. It's called parental alienation. One woman wrote, "My son's wife convinced him I was emotionally abusive. I once asked him if he was happy. That's the nomer haft. That's the abuse. I asked if he was happy because he'd seemed stressed. She told him I was trying to manipulate him into leaving her. He believed her." Another woman, "My daughter-in-law told my son I called her fat. I never said that. I never even thought that. But he believed her." Now I haven't seen my grandchildren in 4 years. I started participating in the forum, sharing my story, reading others, finding comfort in the fact that I wasn't alone, I wasn't crazy. This was a pattern. A recognizable, documented pattern. In the group, I learned things, how to protect myself emotionally, how to grieve a living child, how to build a life that wasn't centered on waiting for someone to come back. I started volunteering at the library again, not working, just volunteering. 2 afternoons a week. Helping with the children's reading program. It was nice, being around books again, being useful. I made friends, real friends, not just work acquaintances. Susan, who volunteered at the same library. Margaret from my book club. David, a widower I met at a grief support group, different from the estrangement group. Apparently I needed multiple support groups. I started traveling. Small trips, a weekend in Portland, a week in San Francisco visiting Patricia. Nothing exotic, but more than I'd done in years. I was building a life, not the life I'd imagined. Not the life where I was a grandmother, baking cookies with my son's children, hosting holiday dinners, but a life nonetheless. February 2024, I turned 69. Patricia sent me flowers. Susan took me to lunch. I got a card from my book club. It was a nice birthday, quiet, but nice. I didn't hear from Daniel. I'd stopped expecting to. That night, I wrote him a letter. Not to send, just to write. A therapist, yes, I was seeing one of those too, suggested it as an exercise. Write the letter you want to send, then keep it. Get the feelings out without actually reaching out. Dear Daniel, I've stopped waiting for you to come back. Not because I stopped loving you, but because waiting was killing me. I hope you're happy. I hope Rebecca makes you feel whole. I hope you look back on your childhood someday and remember the good parts too, not just whatever narrative she's convinced you is true. I did my best. That's all any parent can do. My best wasn't perfect, but it was real. And it was filled with love. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. But I'm not waiting anymore. I'm living. And that's going to have to be enough. Love always, Mom. I put the letter in a box with others I'd written. Therapy exercises, emotional purging. None of them sent. March came. Cold and rainy, Oregon spring. I was at the library on a Tuesday afternoon, helping a little boy find books about dinosaurs. He reminded me of Daniel at that age, serious face. Careful hands on the books. That night, my phone was on silent. I'd learned to keep it that way. Less temptation to check for messages that never came. When I woke up Wednesday morning, I saw the notification. 1 voicemail, 2:17 a.m. from Daniel. And everything changed. I played the voicemail in my kitchen, standing by the window where the morning light came in. I'd heard it 17 times already, but I played it again. And again. She had a fake account. She was sending herself emails from your address, saying horrible things. I sank into a chair. For 3 years, I'd questioned everything. Every memory of raising Daniel. Every conversation we'd ever had. Wondering what I'd done wrong. What I'd said that was so manipulative. How I'd damaged him without knowing it. And it had been lies. All of it. Lies from Rebecca. Lies Daniel had believed. I didn't call him back immediately. I needed to think. I needed to understand what I was feeling. Because it wasn't just relief, it was also anger and hurt, and a question that kept looping in my mind. How could he have believed her? How could he have believed I'd say those things without asking me? I called. Patricia at 7 a.m. California time. Woke her up. He called. I said, "What? Who?" "Daniel." He left a voicemail. Rebecca was lying. About everything. He found proof. Silence. Then, "Oh, Margaret," he said she was faking emails from me, hiding my letters and cards. For 3 years, Patricia. 3 years. Are you going to call him back? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? He's your son. He knows the truth now. And for 3 years, he believed I was toxic, without ever asking me. Without giving me a chance to defend myself. Patricia, he chose her lies over 38 years of me actually being there. He was manipulated. He was an adult. A 8-year-old adult when this started. With a therapist, according to his email. A therapist who never suggested maybe he should talk to me directly. He chose to believe the worst about me. That's not all Rebecca's fault. Patricia sighed. So what are you going to do? I don't know. I need time to think. I spent Wednesday in a fog. I couldn't focus on anything. I kept playing the voicemail, kept hearing the crack in his voice, the genuine remorse. But I also kept hearing his other voice, the one from that email 18 months ago. I need you to stop contacting me. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Thursday morning, I called my therapist. Got an emergency session for that afternoon. Dr. Sarah Chen listened to the voicemail, read the old email, looked at me with kind eyes. What do you want to do, Eleanor? I don't know. Part of me wants to call him back immediately. He's my son. He's apologizing. He knows the truth. Part of me wants to throw my phone in the river and never speak to him again. Those are both valid responses. But what's the right one? There isn't a right one. There's only what you can live with. She paused. Let me ask you something. If you never called him back, how would you feel in a year? I thought about it. Sad. And guilty. Like I'd done to him what he did to me. And if you called him back right now? Tomorrow? What then? I don't know. Relief? Fear? What if he hurts me again? What if Rebecca convinces him I'm manipulating him by accepting his apology? What if this is just a temporary moment of clarity and next month he decides I'm toxic again? Those are real fears. Valid fears. Dr. Chen leaned forward. Eleanor, you get to protect yourself, even from your own child, even from someone who's apologizing. You don't owe him immediate forgiveness just because he finally saw the truth. Then what do I owe him? Whatever you decide you want to give. Not what you think you should give. Not what a good mother would give. What Eleanor, the woman who's been hurt and healing for 3 years, wants to give. I left that session with homework. Write down what I'd need to feel safe rebuilding a relationship with Daniel. Not what he might agree to, what I actually needed. That night, I wrote a list. Acknowledgement of the full scope of what happened. Not just Rebecca's lies, but his willingness to believe them. Understanding of how deeply this hurt me. Commitment to therapy, individual and maybe family. No relationship with Rebecca until she apologizes directly to me. Time slow rebuilding. Not immediate back to normal. Proof that he means it. Actions, not just words. I looked at that list. It felt reasonable. It also felt impossible. Would Daniel agree to all that? Would he think I was being vindictive? Did it matter if he thought that? Friday, I decided to call him back. But not until I was ready. Not when I was emotional. Not when I was angry or hurt or desperate. When I was calm. When I knew what I needed. Saturday morning, March 16th, 2024, I called Daniel at 9 a.m. He answered on the first ring. "Mom?" His voice was rough, like he hadn't slept. "Mom, thank God. I wasn't sure you'd call back." "Hi, Daniel." "Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I've been up for 3 days, since I found everything. I keep thinking about what I said to, what I believed, how I treated you at the wedding. Mom, I was so wrong." I waited, let him talk. I found them by accident. The letters. I was looking for a document in Rebecca's home office, and I found this box. It was full of cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards, all from you, with the envelope still sealed. And at the bottom, there was this folder. Printed emails. Dozens of them. From your email address to Rebecca's, saying awful things about her, about me, about our marriage. He took a shaky breath. But something seemed off, the way they were written, the phrases. So I logged into my email and searched for any emails from you. There weren't any that matched. So I called the email provider, walked through the headers with tech support. Mom, they were fake, spoofed. She'd been sending them to herself and showing them to me as proof you were harassing her. Why? My voice sounded hollow to my own ears. Why would she do that? I don't know. I confronted her Wednesday morning. She denied it at first. Then she said she was protecting me, that you were overbearing and she was just trying to help me set boundaries. I told her faking emails isn't setting boundaries. It's gaslighting. She started crying, said she was afraid of losing me, that she knew how close we were and she felt like she could never compete with you. So she destroyed our relationship instead? Silence. Yeah, that's exactly what she did. Where is she now? Her sister's place. I told her she needed to leave. I can't even look at her right now. Mom, I don't know if I can stay married to someone who did this, who lied for 3 years. Who let me cut you off based on complete fabrications? I should have felt vindicated. I should have felt relief. Instead, I just felt tired. Daniel, I need to tell you something. And I need you to listen. Really listen. Okay. I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm not going to list all the times I tried to reach out and you rejected me. You know what happened. You have the evidence now, but I need you to understand something. I took a breath, steadied myself. For 3 years, I've been questioning everything about myself, everything about how I raised you. I've been in therapy, support groups. I've cried myself to sleep more nights than I can count. I've grieved you like you died, because in a way, you did. The son I knew died the day you sent me that email telling me to stop contacting you. Mom, I'm not done. You believed her. You believed I would say those horrible things without ever asking me. You believed I was manipulative, toxic, abusive, and you never gave me a chance to defend myself. You just cut me off. And that's not all Rebecca's fault. She lied, yes. But you chose to believe the lies. You chose her version of me over 38 years of me actually being there. He was crying. I could hear it. You're right, God. You're so right. I don't know why I believed her. She kept saying you were subtle about it. That manipulation doesn't always look obvious. She'd show me those emails and say, "See, she seems nice but read between the lines." And I trusted her. I loved her, and I wanted to be a good husband, even if that meant being a bad son. Do you understand how much that hurt me? Yes. No, I don't know. I'm trying to. Mom, I'm trying to understand what I did. But I keep coming back to this horrible realization that I threw away 3 years with you because I was too stupid to question someone I'd known for 2 years versus someone who raised me my entire life. It's not about being stupid, Daniel. It's about being manipulated. But it's also about making choices. You made choices. And now I have to make choices. What does that mean? It means I need time to think about what I want, what I need, what it would take for me to trust you again. Panic in his voice. Mom, please don't cut me off, please. I can't lose you again. I'm not cutting you off. But I'm also not pretending the last 3 years didn't happen. I'm not going to rush back into being your mom because you finally realized your wife was lying. This broke me, Daniel. I need to make sure I'm healed enough to let you back in without you breaking me again. I'll do anything. Therapy, time, whatever you need. Just tell me you'll give me a chance to make this right. I need 2 weeks. To think. To figure out what making it right would even look like. Can you give me 2 weeks? Retry and continue. Yes, of course. Whatever you need. And Daniel? In those 2 weeks, I need you to do something. Anything. I need you to write down every lie Rebecca told you about me. Every email she showed you. Every story she told. Everything you believed that made you think I was toxic. I need you to see it all written out, to really understand the scope of what happened. Okay, I can do that. And I need you to think about why you believed it. Not just that she was convincing, but why you were willing to believe your mother who raised you alone, who never hurt you, who loved you, your entire life was capable of those things. Because that's the part I'm still struggling with. His voice was small. I'll think about it. I promise. We hung up. I sat at my kitchen table for an hour, not crying, not relieved, just processing, he'd called. He knew the truth. He was sorry. But was sorry enough? The 2 weeks felt like 2 years, and also like 2 minutes. I talked to Dr. Chen 3 times during that period. I talked to Patricia daily. I talked to my support group. Everyone had opinions. Forgive him, some said. He was manipulated. It's not his fault. Protect yourself, others said. He showed you who he is when things get hard. Believe him. But the most helpful advice came from Margaret, my friend from book club. She'd been estranged from her daughter for 5 years before reconnecting. Eleanor, here's what I learned. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And reconnecting doesn't mean going back to how things were. You get to build a new relationship on new terms, terms that protect you. If he really wants you back in his life, he'll accept that. If he doesn't, you'll know this was about easing his guilt, not about loving you. On March 30th, 2 weeks after our phone call, I called Daniel. Hi, Mom. He sounded exhausted. Hi, sweetheart. Did you do what I asked? Yes. I have everything written down. It's worse than I realized. Mom, she told me you said I was making the biggest mistake of my life marrying her, that you called her white trash, that you told her I was only with her because I was afraid of being alone. She showed me emails where you supposedly said she was trying to steal your son, where you called her manipulative, calculating, a gold digger. I never said any of those things. I know that now. And seeing it all written out, I don't know how I believed it. These aren't things you'd say, not the mom, who taught me to be kind, to give people the benefit of the doubt, to judge people by their character, not their circumstances. But you believed them at the time. I did. And I've been trying to understand why. I think, he paused, I think I wanted to believe her. Not because I thought you were terrible, but because believing her made me feel like a good husband, like I was protecting my wife from a threat. It made me feel needed, important. Rebecca would come to me crying about something you supposedly said, and I'd comfort her, and I'd feel like I was being the man she needed. I let that sink in. So you sacrificed our relationship to feel important in your marriage. That sounds so awful when you say it that way. Is it wrong? Silence. No, it's not wrong. That's exactly what I did. Daniel, I need to tell you what I need. What it would take for me to even consider rebuilding our relationship. Okay. I'm listening. I pulled out my list, the one I'd written and revised 12 times. First, I need you in therapy. Individual therapy with someone who specializes in family dynamics and manipulation. Not couples therapy with Rebecca, your therapy. To understand how you let this happen. I'm already in therapy. I switched therapists after I found the evidence. Someone who actually specializes in this stuff, not the one Rebecca recommended. Good. Second, I need time. I'm not going to rush back into weekly calls and holiday visits. We're going to start slow. Maybe a call every 2 weeks, then weekly, then maybe lunch once a month. But only if it feels safe for both of us. I can do that. Third, and this is non-negotiable, I don't have a relationship with Rebecca. Not now. Maybe not ever. If you stay married to her, I need you to understand that she and I will not be in the same room. She doesn't get to apologize and make this okay. She systematically destroyed 3 years of my life. I don't forgive that easily. He was quiet for a moment. I know if I'm staying married to her. I moved out last week. I'm staying at a hotel while I figure things out. But Mom, I need you to know, even if I divorce her, that's not about winning you back. That's about me not being able to trust someone who did what she did. I'm not asking you to divorce her. I'm asking you to respect that I don't want a relationship with her. I respect that, completely. Fourth, I need you to acknowledge this to other people, not publicly, but to your therapist. To any mutual friends who might have heard her version, I need you to set the record straight, because for 3 years, she's been telling people I'm toxic. I need that corrected. I'll do it. I've already told my best friend, and my therapist knows everything. Fifth, and this is the hardest one, I need you to understand that I might not ever fully trust you again. That doesn't mean I don't love you, but it means I'll always have a part of me that's waiting for the other shoe to drop. For you to believe someone else over me, for you to cut me off again. His voice cracked. That's fair. That's more than fair. Mom, I hate that I did this to you. I hate that I hurt you so badly you can't trust me anymore, but I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn that trust back, however long it takes. Okay. I took a breath. Then we can try. We can try rebuilding. But Daniel, if you hurt me again, if you let anyone else convince you I'm something I'm not, I'm done. I won't survive it a second time. Do you understand? I understand. And I won't. I promise I won't. We talked for another hour. About logistics, about therapy schedules, about how we'd communicate. We agreed on phone calls every other Wednesday at 7 p.m., neutral time, regular schedule, low pressure. Before we hung up, he asked, Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Did you ever think about not calling me back? Just letting me go? I answered honestly. Yes. Every single day for 2 weeks. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to make you feel what I felt, but that's not who I am. And more importantly, that's not who I want to be. Thank you for giving me another chance. I don't deserve it. Maybe not. But I'm giving it anyway. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to know I tried everything. Even forgiving the unforgivable. April 2024, our first scheduled call. I was nervous, kept checking the clock. At 7 p.m. exactly, my phone rang. We talked for 30 minutes. About safe things, his work, my volunteering, the weather. Nothing deep, nothing about Rebecca or the past 3 years, just talking. Like we used to. It felt strange, fragile, like we were both being careful not to break something that was already broken but trying to heal. May 2024. Our calls got easier. He told me about his therapy sessions, generally, not specifics. I told him about my support group. We were both doing the work. In mid-May, he asked if we could meet for lunch. In neutral territory. A restaurant halfway between Seattle and my town. I agreed. But I was terrified. We met on a Saturday afternoon. I got there early, sat in my car for 10 minutes, trying to calm my breathing. When I walked in, he was already at a table. He stood up when he saw me, looked like he wanted to hug me, but wasn't sure if he should. I hugged him first, because he was still my son. Despite everything. We sat down, ordered coffee, made small talk about the drive. Then he pulled out an envelope. I wrote you a letter. My therapist suggested it. As a way to organize my thoughts. I want you to read it, but not now. Later, when you're home and can process it without me sitting here watching you. I took the envelope. Okay. It's everything. Everything I should have said on the phone but couldn't find words for. Everything I've learned in therapy about what happened. And everything I want you to know about how sorry I am. Lunch lasted 2 hours. We talked about easier things, his childhood, memories we both cherished. The time I tried to teach him to ride a bike and we both ended up covered in mud. The Christmas he was 7 and convinced Santa needed cookies and milk but also a sandwich because it was a long night. We laughed. Actually laughed. It felt like sunlight breaking through years of clouds. When we said goodbye in the parking lot, he hugged me again. Thank you for lunch, Mom. This meant everything to me. To me, too. Same time in 2 weeks? Same time. That night, I opened the letter. 12 pages, handwritten. He detailed everything. How Rebecca had slowly isolated him from me. How she'd frame innocent comments I'd made as controlling. How she'd cry after I'd call, saying I made her feel inadequate. How she'd convinced him that healthy boundaries meant cutting off someone who triggered her. He wrote about finding the emails, the cards, the systematic deception. But he also wrote about his own culpability, his choice to believe her without verification, his willingness to throw away our relationship rather than have an uncomfortable conversation with his wife. The last page made me cry. Mom, I don't expect you to forgive me completely. I don't expect us to go back to how we were before Rebecca, but I hope we can build something new. Something stronger, maybe, because we both know now how fragile relationships can be when we don't protect them. I robbed you of 3 years. I can't give those back. But I can give you the rest of my life, if you'll let me, if you'll trust me again, even just a little bit. I love you. I never stopped loving you. I just forgot how to show it. I forgot that love means believing in someone, even when someone else is whispering doubts in your ear. I'm sorry isn't enough, but it's all I have. That and a promise to be better. To be the son you raised me to be, the son who knows that family isn't disposable, that mothers who sacrifice everything deserve more than silence and suspicion. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on you. Your son, Daniel, June 2024. We were meeting for lunch monthly now, calls weekly. He'd filed for divorce. Rebecca had moved back to her parents' house in California. He'd sent me a formal apology email. I deleted it without reading it. Some things aren't forgivable by email. July 2024. Daniel asked if I'd be willing to come to a therapy session with him. Family therapy, with his individual therapist. I agreed. Dr. Michael Rodriguez was in his 50s, kind eyes, patient demeanor. He asked me to describe what the past 3 years had been like. I did, honestly. The grief, the self-doubt, the support groups, the slow rebuilding of my life. Then he asked Daniel to describe what he'd learned in our time apart. Daniel talked about recognizing manipulation, about understanding how coercive control works, about learning to question narratives instead of accepting them, about the guilt he carried for believing his wife's lies over his mother's lifetime of evidence. Then Dr. Rodriguez asked us both, "What do you need from each other to move forward?" I spoke first. I need to know that Daniel will come to me if someone tells him something negative about me, that he'll ask me for my side before believing I'm capable of cruelty. I need to know I won't be cut off again without at least a conversation. Daniel nodded. I can do that. I will do that, Doctor. Rodriguez looked at Daniel. And you? What do you need from your mother? Honestly? I need her to keep me accountable, to call me out if I start making excuses for bad behavior. Mine or anyone else's. I need her to not let me get away with stuff just because she loves me, because that's part of how this happened. I thought love meant never being challenged. I need to learn that love sometimes means being uncomfortable. I reached over and squeezed his hand. I can do that. August 2024. I met Daniel's new apartment. Small, clean, sparse. A fresh start. He'd kept one photo from his marriage, his wedding photo. But he'd cut Rebecca out, so it was just him, standing alone in a suit, looking happy in a moment that had turned out to be a lie. "Why did you keep it?" I asked. "To remember, not the good times, but the warning signs I ignored, the red flags I explained away. I never want to do that again." September 2024. Patricia came to visit. Met Daniel for the first time since the estrangement. She hugged him, then held him at arm's length. "You hurt my sister. I love you because you're her son. But if you ever do anything like this again, you'll have me to deal with. Understood?" He nodded. "Understood. I'm sorry, Aunt Patricia, for all of it." "Good. Now let's have dinner and talk about literally anything else." We did. We had dinner. The three of us. It felt almost normal. October 2024. I woke up to a text from Daniel. "Good morning, Mom. Just wanted to say I love you and I'm grateful for you. That's all. Have a good day. Small thing. Simple thing. But it meant everything, because for 3 years I'd gotten nothing, and now I was getting regular reminders that I mattered. November 2024. I went to Seattle for Thanksgiving. At Daniel's apartment. Just the two of us. He cooked, badly, but he tried. We ate dry turkey and lumpy mashed potatoes and laughed about how neither of us inherited any cooking skills. "Next year," he said, "maybe we could do Thanksgiving at your place, and you could cook?" "Maybe. Let's see how we're doing by then." "Fair." After dinner, we sat on his couch, drinking tea, watching the snow start to fall outside. "Mom, can I tell you something?" "Always. I've been thinking about dating again, after the divorce is final. And I'm terrified. Because what if I let someone manipulate me again? What if I don't see the red flags? Then we'll figure it out together. I'll help you see them. And if I'm worried about someone, I'll tell you, and you'll listen. Because that's what we do now. We communicate." He leaned his head on my bearded shoulder, like he used to when he was little. "I missed you so much, Mom." "I missed you too, sweetheart. I'm sorry it took me so long to find my way back. I'm sorry you had to find your way back at all. But I'm glad you did." We sat there for a long time, not talking, just being together, healing together. It's March 2025 now, a year since that voicemail. A year since my world shifted again. Daniel and I talk every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. my time. We've had 23 conversations since we started rebuilding. Some have been easy. Some have been hard. But we've had all of them honestly. His divorce was finalized in January. Rebecca didn't contest it. She moved to California. I heard through Daniel that she's in therapy too, working on why she felt the need to destroy someone else's relationship to secure her own. I don't forgive her. Maybe I never will. But I hope she gets help. Not for her sake, for the sake of whoever she dates next. Daniel's dating someone new, carefully, slowly. Her name is Lisa. She's a teacher, kind, patient, and crucially, she thinks it's wonderful that Daniel and I are close. She's asked to meet me. We're planning lunch next month. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also protective. If she shows any signs of what Rebecca did, isolation, manipulation, turning him against me, I'll speak up, because that's our agreement. Honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. I still go to my support group, even though Daniel and I reconciled, because estrangement recovery isn't just about the relationship. It's about healing the damage it caused, the self-doubt, the grief, the trauma of wondering if you're the villain in your own story. I share my story there, about the reconciliation, about the boundaries, about the slow rebuild. Some people are happy for me, others are skeptical. What if he does it again, they ask. And I tell them the truth. Then I'll survive it again. But this time, I'll survive it knowing I did everything I could, that I set boundaries, that I protected myself while still giving love a second chance. Not everyone gets their child back. I know that. I see it in my support group every week. Mothers and fathers who've been estranged for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, who'll probably never hear from their children again. I'm one of the lucky ones. But I'm also not the same person I was before the estrangement. I'm harder now, more protective of my peace, less willing to sacrifice myself for someone else's comfort. Daniel understands that. He doesn't expect the mother from before Rebecca. He's getting to know the mother who survived being without him, the one who built a life, who found friends and purpose and joy outside of being his mom. And maybe that's healthier anyway. Maybe I needed to learn that I was a full person, not just someone's mother. Maybe he needed to learn that love doesn't mean blind loyalty. It means seeing someone clearly and choosing them anyway. Do I miss the 3 years we lost? Every single day. I missed his 39th, 40th, and 41st birthdays. I missed holidays, milestones, the everyday moments that make up a life. I can't get those back. But I can make sure the years ahead are different, better, built on truth instead of lies, on boundaries instead of blind trust, on communication instead of assumptions. That's what I want to tell you. If you're listening to this and you see yourself in my story, whether you're the parent who's been cut off, or the adult child who's questioning their estrangement, or the partner who's watching someone isolate their spouse from family, manipulation is real. Coercive control is real. Parental alienation is real. And it destroys families every single day. But healing is also real. Reconciliation is possible. Not easy, not guaranteed, but possible. If you're estranged from your child, please know this: you are not alone. Thousands of us are walking this path. Join a support group, get therapy, build a life that works whether 30, they come back or not. Because you deserve to live, not just wait. If you're an adult child questioning your estrangement, ask yourself, what evidence do I have? Did I verify the stories I was told, or did I just believe them? Did I give my parent a chance to defend themselves, or did I cut them off based on someone else's narrative? It's never too late to ask those questions. And if you're a partner who feels threatened by your spouse's relationship with their parent, ask yourself why. What about that relationship makes you feel unsafe? Is it real danger, or is it fear of not being enough? Because love isn't a competition, and family isn't a zero-sum game. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to choose between believing someone you love and verifying the truth? What did you do? Have you reconciled with family after estrangement, or are you still navigating that grief? I read every single comment. Your stories matter, your pain matters, and your healing matters. If this resonated with you, please subscribe. There are thousands more stories like mine, stories of loss and healing, and the messy, complicated reality of family relationships. We're building a community where honesty is valued over perfection, where boundaries are celebrated, and where no one has to heal alone. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for trusting me with your time, your attention, your own pain. Remember, saying no to toxicity doesn't make you a bad person. Setting boundaries doesn't make you unforgiving. And protecting yourself while still leaving room for love doesn't make you bitter. It makes you wise. It makes you strong. It makes you a survivor. My name is Eleanor. I'm 69 years old. I lost my son for 3 years and got him back through the worst kind of discovery. We're rebuilding. Slowly, carefully, honestly. And if we can do it, maybe there's hope for your story too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community. And thank you for reminding me, through your comments and your shares and your stories, that healing is never done alone. You matter, your story matters, and you deserve peace, whether that peace includes your child or not.